Guys, welcome to Facebook Live on Wednesday morning. As you'll see beside me, I have Jason Roberts and Rachel Schneider of REI Blueprint. I'm really looking forward to our talk today. It's going to be on short sales, foreclosures. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on right now with all of that, lots of changes and some things that are not changing. So we're going to kind of talk about what all of that means. But before we get started, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jen Green. I am from Property House Partners. We are out of the Twin Cities Metro here in Minnesota, and we help folks out who need to sell their homes quickly, more or less any reason, right? But typically the ones that we help out with the most on are folks who have inherited homes through a probate. If you're going through a divorce, a foreclosure, anything really, incarceration, any of those situations where you're looking to sell, you can contact us any means necessary through Facebook, a phone call, an email. And we're able to help you and come up with a plan to get you out of from more or less being up under your house. So give us a call. Let us know what we can do to help. All right. So welcome, guys. I'd love to see both of you together.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Yeah. Well, last time I had Rachel, you were on with me in April, right? And we talked about running a business that doesn't run you. And then Jason, we talked about building a team. And now it's really nice to have the two of you together to talk about short sales, which is kind of how you guys really got your start in real estate investing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's crazy because we're 10 years out from that. Really, October was our 10 year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the post Sean did, but we had closed this monster deal. And then I think I had a baby like the very next day. So it was just kind of crazy that here we are kind of back in a pretty familiar place.
Almost 10 years to the day.
Yes.
And it's eerily similar to where it was then,
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to me. I mean, I want to talk just a little bit about how REI Blueprint got started, just for those folks who aren't maybe aware of you. And yeah, like the monster, you guys jumped in, right? Right away. So I just wanted to give everybody just a little bit of peek into how you guys did that.
So we haven't always been REI Blueprint. We never started out to be REI Blueprint. We started out at the bottom
to flip houses so we can
eat.
have some sort of normalcy back, right?
We were crawling our way out of the crash. We were in the mortgage business before, and we experienced complete financial devastation. And real estate was a vehicle for us to really be able to dig out of that. And so we got into this game just being investors. We kept our head down. We really just focused on our business, and that was really all that we did.
Well, I think so many people think that you have to have all this money to get started in real estate investing, or you have to have all this experience, or you need to have a couple $100,000 in the bank, or 10,000 in the bank, or you have to be able to go to the bank to be able to get a loan, and all these things. And we're another perfect example of when she said we had complete financial devastation. I mean, I lost my own house to foreclosure, cars repossessed, Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I mean, the worst of the worst. And I probably had a 350 credit score, if that's even possible. I didn't have a real job anymore because we were in the mortgage business. We got completely wiped out. We couldn't spend $200 a month on direct mail. I mean, it was that. I mean, it was literally, we got our data, we skip traced it on the crappiest free skip tracing platform that there is, whitepages.com. And we just hammered we just made phone calls and talked to people. Our first 50 deals that we did were just making phone calls and saying, hey, I see that your house is coming up for a foreclosure sale here in the next couple of weeks. What is your plan? What are you going to do? What can we do to help you? I mean, that's how we really built our business. We went from having never done a real estate deal in our lives to 111 houses our first year. And I'm not saying, hey, look at me. I'm saying that, people typically change by inspiration or desperation. And for us, it was
desperate.
It was desperation. Yeah. I mean, it was really, how are we going to eat? How are we going to put a roof over our head?
Yeah. And as we got more involved in real estate investing, and we experienced this extreme success because we just hustled, like we knew how to do that. And so that's what we did. And Jason had gotten involved in a mastermind. And so they're like, come share how you did this, come share how you did this. And so he really kind of got involved in more of the like speaking and sharing his story and our success really kind of on his own. And then they, a good friend of ours put on short sale events, and these guys are great at the front of the room. They're good from the homeowner appointment. He was kind of missing that firsthand negotiator experience, and that's the role that I played in our business on the short sale side. And so that was really my introduction to speaking in 2014.
Yeah.
And I think as we began to level up and as we started to even more so grow our investing business, but really create it like a business that was serving us and serving our life, we kind of had this desire to show other people how you could do this also. And
I think it became more rewarding, right?
Yes.
I mean, by that point, we had probably done a couple hundred houses. And not that, I hate to say that we're not these crazy passionate about real estate people, because everybody's like, oh my God, you're real estate educators and you don't really like real estate. I mean, for us, it was, I don't want to say we disliked it, but it wasn't this thing I woke up in the morning and thought, oh yeah, we get to flip another house. I think it was a vehicle for us. It was, how can I make the most amount of money in the least amount of time, right? Like, 'cause we're trading time for dollars at the end of the day. And I think you and I both found, at least for us, it was more rewarding to help take someone who was where we were, working 70 hours a week, neglecting their family, neglecting themselves, spending their life in a cubicle, and showing them that there's a different, like, teaching somebody how to go from the bad place that we were in into a great place. We found that to be like, that was the coolest feeling ever. Like, you gave somebody life, or at least you helped to give that. And that platform allowed us to do that. It allowed us to help people with that, I think, right? I mean, that's
and for me, I saw a need from, as we started speaking and meeting all these people, every bit of education that they were getting only showed them to a certain point, right? It left them not knowing what to do next, or it only gave them a part of how to do it. And we thought, we have this whole blueprint, right? Because I'm very system process oriented. There is a way to do it, and we do it the same way every single time. And it was like, we actually have this because that's how we run our business. And so we created that. We started with the different investing strategies that we did. I mean, at one point we spoke on HUD bids because we bought a lot of HUD houses, but worked into the pre-foreclosure side and the probate and just the evictions and all the different things that we do. And then it kind of became this goal of, I don't want to be the expert in all areas of real estate investing, but there's so many different ways to be successful in real estate investing that I kind of want to be that hub that's known as that community that has those resources for people. And they just don't tell you this much. They show you how to really make this a reality and how this is really possible for anyone that has the drive to do it and is committed to it. You can do this.
Right. I mean, and it's kind of odd, not odd, but more or less like we're sort of mirroring a little bit of what happened in 08. Now, granted, it's not, because of subprime loans, but it's something that's completely out of our control. Right. And so, I mean, there's been so much talk of, oh, the market's going to crash and this is going to happen and that's going to happen. I mean, and again, we don't have a crystal ball and we can't see, but like, what do you guys think is going to happen or will happen? I mean, there's no new stimulus package for folks. I mean, stuff's supposed to run on out more or less at the end of December. I mean, what do you foresee? Obviously, I mean, we're talking about short sales. Maybe perhaps there's going to be a wave of these, but what do you guys kind of see happening, I guess?
In my opinion, you mentioned subprime loans were a big factor in really that kind of mortgage meltdown and what happened and everything kind of crashing, but also what was a huge factor was not just those subprime loans, but these inflated property values. We were refinancing people legitimately 6 months after we had just helped them purchase the home, and we were running them through automated underwriting, and they were coming back needing no income, no asset verification,
no appraisal,
and they weren't needing an appraisal. It was doing these automated property values. And saying, okay, you've appreciated $30,000 in equity in 6 months' time. And we're seeing that happen right now, which is one thing. I mean, we have the impact of COVID, absolutely. People not being in work, not being able to make their payments, which is so unfortunate. And we saw that happen also in '08 when things started to crash, businesses started to close up, people lost their jobs or their income was decreased drastically. And so that's very similar. But we're also seeing these property values. I mean, I can remember being on the phone with you, Jen, too, and you're like, this thing sold 10 grand over list price. I got an offer for $27,000 over list price. Like, I get text messages and calls like that all the time in the last 6 months. That's constantly what's happening. And I think people don't realize that's inflation of value. And so everybody who lives within a radius of that property that sold for $15,000 over list price, they all just gained 15 grand in equity. Well, when you're the person who paid $15,000 over and we get even the slightest correction, you've lost that. And now these people are in a property and then we come down even a little bit more than that. You're now in a property that you're mortgaged for more than what the value of that home actually is. And they become upside down. They can't sell the house if they need to relocate or they need to move. And, short sales are for people who are facing foreclosure, but it's also for people. We did many short sales for people who the house just wasn't worth what they owed anymore because things have been so overinflated.
Well, when you factor in 6% in real estate commissions, it becomes easy to go upside down real fast.
And we're going to see that. What we're going to see first, in my opinion, is the trickle of everyone who's been financially impacted from COVID, everyone that's not been able to make their mortgage payment, which thankfully they've gotten some time bought for them, that the government has set in and said, we're not doing foreclosures right now. Give everybody a little bit of time. Let's try to get the economy back. But you get so far behind, there's only so much you can do.
It's kind of artificial help though, right? I mean, it's a psychological thing of, I'm okay. But what they didn't tell you is they're still counting you 30, 60, 90, 120 late. So, in Missouri, for instance, you go 120 days delinquent, a bank can file foreclosure. And in Missouri, 21 days later, you're out. The house is auctioned off and you're done.
Yeah.
And while they're saying, hey, we're not going to file on you, they're still counting you late every month and you're still accruing towards that 120. And if at the end of this nice period of helping people, the second that ends, if you're in that window, you're getting foreclosed on. And, the only way to rectify that, you can't just make a payment and bring your loan current. Once foreclosure's been filed, you have to pay the reinstatement quote, which is every single missed payment plus attorney filing fees, plus interest, plus late charges. And no one can do that. So they think it's okay that they don't have to make a payment right now, but they don't realize that the consequence is that that's going to be held against you when it comes time to pay the piper,
Right. I had a conversation with somebody the other day who literally had a foreclosure sale date 10 days ago. They had no idea that it got foreclosed. And they said, well, isn't the government stopping that? And I said, did you file for a forbearance? And also, if it's not a government-backed loan, obviously private loans can make their own decisions, right? And so I think, like you said, we're in this world of, yes, it's helping, but what are really the consequences of that help and what's going to happen? Because in the end of it, I think we're pretty sure that banks aren't going to really lose, and it's going to be homeowners in the end losing.
100%.
And I think there's people listening to this that think, well, they do forbearance and you go to any bank's website right now and you can apply for a loan modification. And that all sounds like a really good option. And for some people, very small amount, that will work for them. But when you really understand what a loan modification is, it's an adjustment of stretching your term back out to 30 years or modifying your interest rate. We have lived in a world for at least the last 5 years where interest rates have been relatively low. They haven't been
15 years.
They haven't been high. And so when you already have a low interest rate, there's nowhere to adjust that down. And when you just bought a house in the last 5 or 10 years, understanding the math of re-amortizing a loan, stretching it out 5 more years doesn't really affect your payment. Even stretching it out 10 years, it might save you $100. You know what I'm saying? It's not the several $100s that many of these people are going to be in need of having adjusted. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's sort of what comes into play in terms of objections, that you see from people, right? Because they're like, oh, I'm going to do a loan modification, but what was it, Jason? I feel like you had noted some like a report that came out that 96% of people don't get approved for loan mods and or 90% or something like that. What was that stat?
Yeah. Everybody wants to believe that they're going to win the lottery, and by lottery I mean like that something's going to fall from the sky and rectify the situation, you know. And I get it. I mean, I was there when you're in a painful situation. It's human nature to put your head in the sand and pretend it's not happening, to block it out because it's painful. It's painful to deal with. So we pretend it's not happening, and then all of a sudden it's too late, and then we're forced to deal with it. So what I wish people would do is just confront the issue when there's actually time to deal with it, with a rational approach, you know, with a logical approach, not an emotional one, but a logical one. 4% of people who applied for a loan mod actually got one, and over 90% of the people that got one defaulted on it within the first 12 months. So when you factor that in, it's pretty much 100% of it doesn't work for anyone. You know, when you factor in that over 90% of the people who did get one defaulted on it, it's not a viable option. Number one, you have a 96% chance that you're not going to get it. Number two, if you do get it, you have over a 90% chance that you're not going to be able to pay the payment anyway, and you're going to be back in the same situation. So for me, my thought is turn into the issue, face it forward, and deal with it when you actually can, because you're in a place that you could sell the property, you could do a short sale, you could get out from under it without any negative consequences, and you could start your life over. You know, you could start over in a positive place.
Right. I mean, and so for those folks that are watching, if you just joined us, I am sitting here with Jason Roberts and Rachel Schneider of REI Blueprint. We're talking about foreclosures, short sales, different things that are happening right now in the economy, maybe perhaps what's to come. And I know you guys this weekend, November 6th and 7th, are doing a virtual training on short sales, right? So why don't you tell me a little bit about what's going to happen during those 2 days?
So our goal here is to really walk you through the process. Many things in real estate investing are very similar, but doing a short sale is really its own beast. It's a very unique type of real estate transaction, and it's more involved. Even, you know, you could argue lease options or subject tos or something, and they're very creative acquisitions, but they don't stretch the term that a short sale does. And so really what we're trying to do is explain the marketing strategy to people and understanding the psychology of a homeowner that is facing foreclosure and what that looks like and what those communication avenues are to reach out to them and what that messaging should look like. And then we really go into more of the process. It's a unique homeowner appointment. The way that we analyze our numbers is different in that because it is a negotiation once we start working with the bank. So offering your max allowable offer is not where you're going to start at, but really walking you through the homeowner appointment, making sure that you understand the documents. And then we do get into how you work with the bank, you know, getting that foreclosure sale date stopped, and then doing some of the negotiations.
BPO appointment, all the things that
the major factors, yes, the major factors, and even resources, because not everyone is meant to be the negotiator on their deal. For some, it is a good fit for them, be it time, personality, you know, those types of things. But this is a strategy that you need to be educated on. You need to understand it, or then you will be with the crowd that says, oh, they're terrible, you could never get anything done. And we could parade many people who, even when we weren't in the situation we're in, have run extremely successful investing businesses all through marketing the foreclosures this entire time, you know, so they've always been there. But now it's about predicting what's to come and being prepared for it and making sure that you don't want to be behind on this. You know, Jason oftentimes says that we always, you know, at certain points in time, there become these windows of opportunity where the greatest amounts of wealth can be shifted. And we really experienced that ourselves, where we couldn't keep up with the amount of deals that were coming our way in 2010 and 2011. And we predict that that's exactly where we'll be in the upcoming year. And you don't want to miss out on that. And not from a greedy financial side, but these people need help. when they call their lender, their option is deed in lieu, foreclosure, or loan modification. And
That's right.
those aren't the best options for most of those people. And so that's where we're able to come in and really serve people in our community, take these homes back up to fair market value condition, and get someone else in there, because your neighbor going to foreclosure affects your property. You know, that goes all the, you know, we get people that say, you guys are coming in here and you're doing bad things. I'm an asset to every person that lives around the property that I'm going to purchase, because it's sitting here being this bank-owned property that sits for who knows how long is a huge detriment to you.
Okay. So in terms of like advice, obviously what it sounds like you're saying for investors at this point is to get educated and be prepared to help folks, you know, out of situations where it may arise where they go into foreclosure. But in terms of consumers, right? Like, what do you think would be, for those folks that are maybe in forbearance now, or maybe perhaps didn't apply for forbearance, what would you say would be the best thing that they could do to more or less prepare perhaps to what's to come?
Well, I think you have to make some realistic decisions, like I said, right? If you lost your $120,000 a year job and you took a $40,000 a year job, do the math. You know, one of the documents that we do with the homeowner is it's like this borrower information document, and we go through and we list every single possible income source that the borrower receives, that, you know, the customer receives, and then we list every single liability. And essentially, what we're doing is we're coming up with a profit and loss for your personal life, right? Like a net. Are you net positive or net negative? Negative cash flow or positive cash flow at the end of the month? It's almost like evaluating a rental property, only you're evaluating your own life. And you know, if you went from being positive to now you're negative $2,000 a month monthly cash flow, what is, you're not going to get, your payment's not going to be modified by $2,000. No way in the world. There's no way that even if they gave you a 0% interest rate and gave you a 40-year term, they wouldn't be able to save you $2,000 a month. So it's unrealistic that it's not going to happen, period. And so then it becomes a matter of, you know, are you realistically going to make up that $2,000 a month? And the answer for most people is no. You know, I mean, if you were in a position where you were laid off for a month and now you're back to work, and so you just had a temporary setback, you can probably make up that gap. You know, it may take you a little while. You may have to, you know, pay an extra $200 a month to catch that back payment up or something like that. But if you're at the point where foreclosure's already been filed, you have to bring, you know, $28,000 in to bring the loan current, and you still haven't regained employment that was the same or higher than where you were before, it's not a realistic option to just pretend it isn't happening or try to get a loan mod, because it's not, you're just delaying the inevitable. My opinion would be to look at those numbers, make a logical decision, and contact somebody in your market that's an expert at this, somebody that has a proven track record, somebody like Jen that has done this business, that knows how to stop a foreclosure sale, that knows how to help somebody avoid a deficiency judgment or a foreclosure on their record. This doesn't have to be a bad thing. You know, there's a good chance that you can end up staying in your house an extra six months and not have to pay a payment to get out from under it without a deficiency judgment or a foreclosure, and transition your life and your family into a new positive environment. Because I can tell you what, when I lost my house to foreclosure, when I was going through that process, once I became, you know, late enough that I thought they could file on me, I dreaded driving home every day. Every day I lived in fear. That's the honest to God truth. Every single day I lived in fear that I was going to get home, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought I was going to get home and my locks were going to be changed on the door. You know, I mean, I lived in fear every day. I went from being financially in our business a millionaire and living in a nice home with nice things, to being completely broke and living in a shitty rundown farmhouse that was infested with mice. And I will tell you what, the day that I transitioned into that crappy little farmhouse with absolutely nothing, I was more at peace and happier than I was for the last 6, 8, 12 months of going home to my big house. And I say that with all honesty, and it's because every day I lived in fear. Every day I lived in this place where I was like, how am I going to come up with the payment? How am I going to make up the deficiency? And now all I had was this little place that I didn't have to worry about. And it sounds crazy, but it was a huge relief. And so I share that because, yeah, you may have to temporarily step down. Yeah, you may have to get something that's a little more affordable, but you know what? You might have been in something that you couldn't have afforded to begin with. 76% of America lives paycheck to paycheck. You never get ahead like that. You never create wealth like that. I've had so many coaching students that have sold their houses, sold their expensive stuff, and moved in, cut their expenses by 70% a month so that they had money to invest and build wealth. And you can't build wealth when you're net zero every month, or you're positive cash flow $100 a month in your personal life. You're never going to get anywhere. So it could actually be a blessing.
Right. And so on that side of things, I mean, we're kind of coming up to the end of our time. I did have Katie post the link to your guys' virtual short sale training. If you are an investor and you're interested in helping folks out of this situation, because I mean, it probably will end up coming at some point, right? Something, the other shoe kind of has to drop perhaps at some point, that if you guys want to sign up, please do. It could be a life changer for you. For those of you who are consumers and you're in my area, or you're in anywhere around the country, give us a call. We can help you, whether or not I'm here or not, right? I can always point you in the direction of somebody who can help you if I'm not able to. These are questions that need to be answered. If you still have looming questions, like I said, contact us, contact Jason and Rachel. Like I said, all of us who are here, we're here to help. Number one, first and foremost. I myself also went through a foreclosure. I mean, I wasn't kept out of that too in 2012. So I know the experience, I know what it feels like. And to be honest with you, I had an investor who came in and short saled our house for us. And that was kind of what bloomed my interest in this too. So it's really about helping people, and that's what we're here to do. So like I said, you guys sign up for their virtual training if you're interested in learning about short sales and you want to help folks out. Like I said, for those of you who are consumers, if you want to follow us, Property House, follow us here on our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram. We do a lot of our before and afters there, Property House Partners. And then you can always check out our website, see the people that we have helped. We have a ton of testimonials on there. It's propertyhousepartners.com. I want to thank you so much, Jason and Rachel, for joining me today. It was super fun to have the two of you together in one room. And I wish you guys luck this weekend at the training. I know it'll be life-changing for a lot of people. It definitely was for me. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen. Thanks for having us. Always good to see you.
Yeah. And then guys, next week, I will be doing my walkthrough of a property. I have two properties that I can show you. I'm probably going to put a poll out to see which one you guys want to see. We have our newer one that we just started a couple weeks ago that I could do a walkthrough of, or I have our St. Paul project that has had lots of ups and downs. We're finally on the upswing, but it's taken us a while to get there. So I'll shoot a poll out to see what you guys want to do my walkthrough of. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Central, like always. Thanks again, Jason and Rachel. Really appreciate it. Good luck to you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.